I gave my cheating wife divorce papers and disappeared. Years later, she came back. I served my adulterous wife with divorce papers and left her, but she returned years later. I never lost faith in loyalty, the unshakable foundation of a marriage built on trust. So when I discovered my wife, Jenna, was cheating, it felt as if the ground beneath me had crumbled into nothingness. We had been married for 5 years, a relationship I thought was full of love, laughter, and shared dreams for the future. I trusted her completely, but she shattered that trust in the cruelest way. At first, the signs were subtle, almost too easy to miss: working late, hiding her phone, vague explanations for her absences. I didn't want to believe it. I brushed off my suspicions until one day, I came home early to surprise her with dinner. Instead of joy, I walked into a nightmare. There she was, sitting on the couch with a man I didn't recognize. Their faces were too close, their laughter too intimate. They froze when they saw me, and it felt as if the air had been sucked out of the room. Jenna tried to explain, stumbling over her words, but the truth was written all over their faces. They weren't just friends. I didn't shout or throw things. Instead, I walked out of the house, got into my car, and stared blankly at the dashboard. My mind raced with disbelief and rage. That night, I slept in a hotel, the weight of my wedding ring feeling heavier than ever. By morning, I knew what I had to do. A week later, I handed her divorce papers. She cried and begged me to reconsider, calling it a mistake, saying it meant nothing. But I was done. I couldn't forgive the betrayal or imagine spending my life with someone who could lie so easily. The divorce was swift. I protected myself legally, took what was fair, and left her the house she had tainted. Once the papers were signed, I packed my bags and left the city. I didn't tell her where I was going or say goodbye. I ghosted her completely, disappearing from her life. I spent years trying to start over. I relocated to a different state, got a new job, and eventually started my own small business. I remained single for a while, unsure if I could trust anyone again. When I did start dating, I did so cautiously. Life became straightforward, calm, and drama-free, just what I needed. Then one day, on a quiet afternoon at a cafe I often visited, Jenna reappeared. At first, I thought I was dreaming, but she was standing in line, looking nearly the same as she had years before, only a little older and more worn out. I could have remained undetected, but my curiosity overcame me. I hesitated, unsure of what to do. As she turned to go with her coffee, she noticed me. Her eyes widened, and she just looked at me for a bit before nervously grinning and approaching to say hello. She spoke quietly, hesitantly. "Matt." Jenna seemed anxious, so I nodded while maintaining a neutral expression. Uncertain of how to begin, I said, "I didn't expect to see you here. It's been a long time." My tone was sharp. "I've been wanting to talk to you," she said, looking at the floor before admitting, "I owe you an apology." A part of me wanted to get up and leave so she could stand there with the weight of her regret. But another part of me wanted to listen. I raised an eyebrow in surprise. "An apology? After all these years?" She nodded, her voice shaking. "I know I hurt you. I've carried the guilt ever since. I was selfish, and I destroyed something beautiful. I've thought about reaching out so many times, but I didn't think you'd want to hear from me." I pointed to the chair across from me. "You have 5 minutes. Make it count." She sat down and clutched her coffee as if it were a lifeline. After the divorce, I thought I would be content, that my actions wouldn't have any lasting effects. But they did. A few months later, the man I cheated with left me. I lost the house, my friends, everything. And I realized how much you meant to me. Her words hung in the air with a heavy sense of regret, but I wasn't going to let her off the hook so easily. "Why are you telling me this now? What do you want from me, Jenna?" For a moment, I just stared at her. Her apology felt sincere, and perhaps she had changed, but the scars she left on me were still there, faint but unforgettable. "I don't want anything from you, Matt. I just wanted you to know that I'm sorry. Truly. You didn't deserve what I did to you, and I hate myself for it." I exhaled slowly. "I hear you, but it doesn't alter the fact that you made your decisions. I've moved on, Jenna." She nodded, understanding. "I'm thrilled that you're doing well, and that you deserve to be happy." She got up and lingered, as though hoping I would say something more. But I didn't. And as she left the cafe, I felt an odd mixture of relief, closure, and even a slight twinge of sympathy. I didn't answer because there wasn't much else to say. As for me, I finished my coffee, paid my bill, and strolled outside into the cool afternoon air. Jenna had built her bed and had to lie in it. Her life served as a warning about what happens when you take others for granted. I didn't turn around. For the first time in years, Jenna's chapter in my life was over. And I felt totally free. Some people say that time heals all wounds, but I believe it's more about moving on, letting go, and refusing to let the past define you. I was thankful for that.